Hello, welcome to Theosophy Wales. I'm Dave Marsland. Kama Loka. Well, Kama Loka is the spirit realm, or the desire realms, more specifically the desire realm, and it's where our non-physical parts go after physical death. Now, if you look at the state of death, after you're dead, then your physical body dissolves away. In Kama Loka, it's your emotional body, the body of desire, that dissolves away. And then eventually you enter the second death, in which you go into a state of bliss known as Devachan. I'll speak about that in a minute. Now, the physical body has gone, but you still have, or basically the same really, you just don't have a physical body. The desire body and the other principles continue through Kama Loka. Kama Loka has 7 levels, the most dense at the bottom, the finest at the top. The lowest level of Kama Loka is probably equivalent to hell, and the highest level is actually not a bad place to be. And you move through that as your emotional body, your emotions dissolve. Now, your emotional body combining with your lower levels of mind, forms the personality ego. So, as you move through Kama Loka, you actually lose your personality. Now, the emotional body disintegrates, and because your personality relies on a level of mind as well, the levels of mind that were affected by the emotional body forming the personality become redundant, and they form a sort of shell that with a little bit of the emotional body. It's a sort of shell, a bit like a dead body on the astral plane. You leave it behind, you don't take it with you. So you move through, and your personality basically disintegrates. Now, that can be difficult for some people. Firstly, at the point of physical death, so some people try to get back into the physical body. Now, you're wasting your time with that one, but there is very often with people an attachment to earth life, want to get back into the physical body, or for the non-physical parts to hover around it. Now, Hindu cremations are at dawn the following morning for that reason, and most Theosophists prefer the idea of cremation. There's nothing to attach to, although most Theosophists are aware of all this, and it's probably not too much of a problem. But you find you're going through into the spirit realm. Now, one of the problems is that you find you're dead, and you're just the same as you were in physical life at first, because you still have the personality. And if you may have a problem with things that you're attached to, but you may have a problem with addictions. Now, if you're desperate for a fag, you're going to find you haven't got a body to smoke it with. So the addictions to cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, or even gambling are still going to be there. And the reason for this is that although we normally associate addictions with the physical body, they actually originate in the desire body. More obvious with say an emotional gambler, but it's the same with cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, that you eventually have to move beyond this, and it will dissolve away. Kama Loka is not eternal, but it will dissolve away, and it's something possibly to consider, that you don't leave your addictions behind upon physical death. And the same with an emotional gambler, that the desire for gambling will have to dissolve away, and the part of the mental body involved in, or the mind principle involved in gambling also has to become redundant, has to disengage. Anyway, as you move through Kama Kama Loka, you divest yourself of your emotional body, which eventually becomes, you'll leave a bit of a shell behind, which is the equivalent of another dead body that you leave behind. But you won't have a problem with it, you move on. Now, at the end of Kama Loka, a combination of the very highest levels of mind, and those are the highest levels the highest level of mind is influenced by Buddhi, the body of enlightenment. It's sometimes referred to what goes into Devachan as the aroma of mind. This will combine again with the Buddhi and the Atma, which is the highest principle in man, the divine spark in everybody. This will form the reincarnating ego, and the mind part will provide an essence of the experience of the life lived. And you will enter the second death or go through the second death and enter Devachan, the state of bliss. Now, the situation in Devachan is interesting because, firstly, your personality is gone, so there's no possibility of any negativity there. You can't have a negative thought in Devachan because your personality, the desired body is gone. So you can't have the facility to have a negative thought is there. But what you will have is a mind influenced by the higher principles, by the body of enlightenment. And in Devachan you experience or you explore the aspirations of spiritual aspirations that you had during earth life. The more spiritual you are, the more you have to work with. Now, your situation in Devachan is rather unusual because you still have the identity you had in your last life, but you don't have your personality. It's an interesting situation. It's difficult to imagine being in that situation, but you are surrounded by people that you knew in earth life, and this is all excellent because there is no negativity. It's a complete state of bliss. There are two phases of Devachan as well. This is the first phase. The second phase, you lose your last earth identity and you prepare for rebirth. But Devachan is a great place to be. So there we are, the movement up through Kama Loka and to Devachan, the second death, and then eventually you move on to rebirth. But Kama Loka, I think the idea of ending up in hell, I don't think that need concern most people. You will enter Kama Loka at the level appropriate to yourself, and probably not at the lowest level. I think we will all have things to deal with, unless you're an extremely spiritual person, in which case you'll just sail through it. If you don't have attachments, you're extremely spiritual, and you don't have addictions, you're not interested in sort of earthly power and material possessions, you'll move through it quite quickly. And many religions actually, although they don't mention Kama Loka in any of their theology, they actually do prepare you for this. Okay, Kama Loka, the spirit realm, we're all going to go there, and it's a question of now you've seen me talking about this, you may have a few ideas about how to deal with it, or how to prepare yourself for it, for when you get there.